Hey.
Welcome tonight. We're gonna do a three-person party tonight. We're gonna bring in the little brother.
If you can call me little. You can call me little if you want. I'm younger. Yeah.
He's the baby of the family.
Right.
Yeah.
He has nothing to do tonight, so we told him to come sit in here with us. So
You might recognize me. I played whiteboard in one of the earlier episodes.
he did hold a whiteboard in our first arrangement.
Episode 2 or something.
Yeah. He's done with school this year, so he's feeling like he's got to do something.
Got an itch.
So
I'm always doing something.
we'll let him read a question or two.
Yeah.
Feel part of the group.
Let him participate. Okay, so before we jump in tonight, I was gonna touch base on email questions that we had.
Do more smiling.
Less drinking. More
So
smiling.
you're saying I'm the pretty face then? Is that what you're saying? I'm taking
Sure.
Okay, so last week we had a couple questions about unavailable, the word unavailable being used in Family Tree.
Yeah.
We discovered this week that,
Verified.
or verified,
We verified that there's no unavailable. So that's coming from something else. Don't know where.
a third party
There's
tool.
nowhere on the ordinance tab of the person or any of that you didn't see anything other than not available. So there is no unavailable.
Okay, and then the other question was, we were trying to figure out if we could get ward information,
Yeah.
like where they lived or stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
no, they don't
we
share that
can't
with
get
us.
that
We don't get that.
information, so.
Sorry.
Sorry, people, we can't get that information, at least not at this point in time, maybe sometime down the road.
Yeah.
So, just a little follow-up from last week, because I'm going to make sure to keep you in the loop on those. I don't think we didn't have a giveaway or anything this week. If you won the giveaway, we shipped your packages out this week, so you should be getting them in the next couple of days, hopefully. So that's for Missy, who had Comfort Furnace as the craziest family name.
Yeah.
That was a fun one. We'll have to do another one soon.
Yeah.
I guess while we're waiting for people to get here, it's your wife's birthday this weekend on Sunday, so we're gonna have a family celebrations.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
And then happy Cinco de Mayo.
That's right. That's today.
Did everybody have tacos? I hope.
Yeah.
Or salsa and chips or something.
Yeah.
Sopapillas.
Hurry and pull it out.
If not, go grab some salsa and chips and watch the live with us while you're having some
Let's
salsa.
see. Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo to the last minute.
That's right.
Okay, you ready to dive in?
Yeah. What are you gonna have him do?
He can read.
Whatever you want me to do.
Can you read?
Can you read?
Can I read? I don't know. Maybe I'm dyslexic.
Taco Friday. Oh, Rob had Taco Friday.
Taco Friday.
Alright.
That makes sense.
Good.
That sounds like yummy.
That's like a double whammy because it's Taco Friday and it's Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Barbara says hi, Ron.
Hi.
Hello, Barbara. Nice to see you
It's
tonight.
good to have faces, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay, our first question is from
Barbara.
Barbara, and she wants to know.
Is there a way to view a list of all ancestors in my family tree that has or have record hints listed in the research help section of the person page?
Well, let's first talk about see all my ancestors in a list. So, as you know, in Family Tree, we all share the same tree. So there's one really big giant tree, and then there's a bunch of little tiny trees.
Right.
And so I'm sure that if you're getting lots of hints, that means your relatives are in U.S. or Canada or England, and that's what the biggest tree is. So what constitutes a list of your tree? Because if we look at your tree up and we look at your tree down,
We could get pretty big.
well, the single tree, the largest tree, which most of all of us are part of, is 384 million people.
It's quite a
So how do we list 384 million people with all of the stuff? Now, I know that the mobile application has a thing called Ancestors with Tasks. And what the mobile does is you download a portion of your tree, like 6 generations, and then you use it for a while. And any person that you look at, we store locally on the mobile phone. And when you say Ancestors with Tasks, you get just the people that have been stored on your phone. So it's a limited set, right? It's not your whole entire line. So we've talked about could we put that kind of feature over on the website? If we do, we'd have to do what's called scope of interest, which is how much of your tree you want to have that happen to. Because it just doesn't make sense to do all, right?
That'd be
A
really
lot-
big list.
yeah, almost everybody, because it's not like your local database that has maybe 5,000 on it or something. This has 384 million, so it would take forever, and the list would be bazillion long. So we're thinking about maybe something like that with scope of interest, which is a limited set. You'd say, I want 6 up and 3 down, or 7 up and 4 down, or something like that. And then we'd look at that range.
Now these are generations, right? 7 generations.
Seven
back,
generations
seven
back, and then
forward.
four generations down, or you go up 7, and then you're for 7, 6, 5, and 4, you go
Okay,
down
I
1.
see. Okay.
So,
okay.
so let us think about, let's know what you think about that. We've talked about it. We haven't really made any decisions whether that's the right thing to go or not. We're not really sure how far they're interested, because people go way back to the 1600s and start, messing with those ancestors and fixing them up. So it's not clear how far people would want to go back to have this list of hints, because it could be
Huge.
hundreds of thousands long, and that's just a little bit long.
That would be a problem.
Yeah. So I'll put that down on go back on our think tank that we have, and we'll talk a little bit more about how maybe we could offer that.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. I didn't scroll high enough, so we have to. I did that.
She messed up?
I did that last night too, or last time too. Okay, so next question is from.
Randy Sue Nambauer.
I usually
Just
say
first name.
Randy.
Oh, just first name? Okay, Randy. All right.
And they want to know.
Is it possible to call, email, or chat a request that an ordinance that has been shared with the temple by another patron can be released to me to reserve? Then could there be a link right on the reserve page of the individual that would create a request for the ordinance to be released from the temple and given to me? So I guess they're asking, is
They're
there a way?
asking 2 questions.
Yeah, they're asking multiple. There's a couple questions, and there's more.
That's okay.
This example would be similar to a 110-year request and deceased to living when cases are created without me calling, emailing, or chatting. Of course, the ordinances would appear read and not be printed by the temple yet. So as they're saying, if somebody sends an ordinance in, it hasn't been done, is there a way for me to ask the temple to give it back, and so I can reserve it?
Yeah. No, but there was something else too about requesting from a friend or something.
No, it basically they're saying another patron submits a name to a temple, and they're saying, can I request that name come back to me?
Yeah.
Be released
So at this point in time, you cannot do that, as you know. If a name has been shared by somebody else and then shared with the temple, you can't do anything with it. Now, we don't necessarily like that either, so we're trying to work through some policies to get some permissions to change some of that, but we're not ready to announce or say anything about that. So
Makes sense.
we're just trying to work through it and see. I agree that if it's somebody related to you and you're ready to go to the temple right now, and it's been sitting there in that temple waiting list for years,
Yep.
you certainly would like to take those ancestors and get them done, and I appreciate that. And there's been several people that have requested this feature, and so we are taking active measures to try to get that resolved so that we can do that. So
Makes sense.
hang in, and we'll let you know as things develop.
Okay.
But I will tell you, if we do, from my perspective, and I think I feel comfortable saying this, if we had an opportunity to do that, then if you get the ordinances off the temple list and put onto your list, then I believe you should have a shorter time frame in which to get them done. So right now, if you make a reservation, you get 2 years to do that work, and then we release it. But the thing got on the temple list because somebody else found the name and shared it with the temple.
Right.
And when the temple takes something off the temple list, they get it done the same day. So there's an expectation that when my ancestor eventually gets to the front of the line and some temple takes the ordinances, I expect them to be done quickly.
Right.
So if we are able to allow somebody to take something off the shared with the temple and put on your list, it will most likely have a shorter time limit, a few months or
Seems reasonable.
maybe 6 months at most, that you get a chance to get that resolved. Otherwise, it has to go back to the temple list because it's expected for you to get it taken care of quickly if you do that. So let me think about and tell me what you think about that. But there's plenty of people who like to do this, and we're interested in trying to provide that. But we're still working on it. So we got nothing. I can't even tell you if we're going to do it or not. So
Before the end of the world.
It's being discussed.
yeah, well, it's probably going to be before that. We're having good discussions, so we're actively pursuing.
All right. Just to let you know, Rob is from Alaska. He says hello from Alaska.
Oh,
Wow.
And then Jesus Daniel just joined us from Honduras.
wow, that is way far away.
That is
we
way far.
probably
He holds the record.
talk like this because it's far away. So there's a delay or something, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
Probably
Probably
not.
I
not.
couldn't,
Internet,
I couldn't
you know.
tell you.
Probably not.
But
Look,
Honduras.
buffering.
It's not buffering. He's just being him.
Buffering.
Oh, and Barbara is from Mesa, Arizona.
Nice, Arizona.
Very nice.
Okay.
Hot.
Well, welcome. Thank you. In Alaska, is it like they have no days right now, or is it no nights? Is
I
it
don't know. I'm
I
not
don't know
sure.
what it
I mean,
is
I've
right
never
now.
been to Alaska, but
Rob, you'll
I'm
have to
sure
let us
Rob
know.
will let us know.
Yeah, is
If
it like
it's-
dark right now?
Is
and
it
it's
always
dark?
day or
The
is it
solid
always
days or the solid
night?
nights?
Yeah.
We're not sure.
Yeah.
We've never been. None of us have been to Alaska.
None of us are that adventurous.
Okay.
Oh,
What do we
I
got?
can, but you're not. Okay, next one is from Bosch. They gave us an example, which I did pull up for you.
Okay.
So the question is,
In the bishoprics, I'm doing most of my research. There are tons of baptizing records from dozens of villages, indexed and
In
available.
the bishopric.
Well, I imagine what he's saying is I'm in bishopric. We're doing research on tons of different baptismal records from dozens of villages that have been indexed and available in FamilySearch. In these indexes, there is information about the child being baptized, the parents, and the grandparents, but the information about the grandparents cannot be linked directly to Family Tree as a source. It is not used in the hinting system, and it is not even possible, so far as you can tell, I guess, to find a simple record search, to find those things through a simple record search. He says, is there a good reason for that, or is it a mistake? Could it be changed? He says it seems like it's a waste of indexing effort.
and then here is an example of one that he has found.
So he's got the grandparents, but because the grandparents can't be linked, he's saying that you can't find their records and link it to them.
All right. There's two ways to deal with this. So what he's saying is,
It was a long question. Do we need to
No.
reread it a little bit?
no.
It's in there.
All right.
Okay, so you can, first off, I want to let you know that you can attach a source to somebody without running through the attach to family tree,
Okay.
right? You can just take the URL that's on there and go create a source and add the URL and type the title and a little bit of information that's about the record. So you're not forced to use the attach to family tree and get the what we call the quick attach, which is the record on one side and the person on the other side. You're not forced to do that. So just realize there's other ways to. We kind of have gotten where we think that's the only way to hook things on a person, but you can actually attach a source or create a source right on the person,
Okay.
and it works just as well as this. That's all this is doing is creating a source and putting it on a person.
Mhm.
Now you can change the context inside of the quick attach. Now I mentioned a little bit about this I think a couple of times ago, but I'm gonna try again, and I'm not gonna be a great writer.
Do you want me to
So
write it for
what
you?
is this? So it has
Well, it's
the name of the child,
the child, which I guess is Jamie.
child Jamie, and it
Parents
has father.
and mother.
Father is Juan,
and Francisca.
and the mother is
Francisca.
Francisca. Okay, and then the grandparents.
Well, it has paternal and maternal. There's
We have-
both.
Okay, so it
Two
has grandparents
One.
of the father,
So it's Jose and
Jose
Magdalena.
Magdalena.
And then the maternal is Jose and
Then
Maria.
it's the grandfather of grandparents of,
Francesca.
well, it's the parents of the father,
then
and it's the parents of the mother, which is
Jose and Maria.
Jose and Maria.
Jose and Maria. Okay,
Mm.
so that's on the record. And on the family tree, it'll line it up with Juan, Francisca. No, it probably does this when you do it.
Well,
It'll
I
do
guess is
It does Jamie.
Jamie is.
So push the button there.
Root person. Which
Well, I mean, I don't know if
I'm
it'll
not
work.
logged in.
She's not
Oh,
logged
you're not. Oh,
in.
he just sent a snapshot.
Yeah, he sent us, yeah.
Okay, so it'll be like this, and it'll have attach. Right, a little button.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put a little A here on.
You use the brand.
Then it'll have Juan.
His drawing skills, guys, tonight are a little low.
It's been a long day, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing. We'll chalk it up to that.
I'll just put an arrow in there.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the big board. Try to make it out. This is the record side. That's family tree side. On the record side, shows the child, Jamie, probably Jaime.
Jaime, probably.
This is Francisca, the mother, and Juan, the father. And these two are probably down at the bottom or not even showing. And then it has the little attach. No, I got it right. I have to look around. The attach. So this is the little attach buttons. It says attach the record to Jamie. This will have attached to mother and attached to the father. And you're saying, well, what about the grandparents? I want to be able to attach the parents of, of Juan and the parents of Francisca. So what you need to do is,
You just change the root person, right?
yeah, and so the thing that after you do those attaches, after you attach it all, so it just says detached there now. There's a little person. I think it's right here on this. This is the thing I have to. I'm doing from memory. So look from our little person. There's a little person. Look like a person. Doesn't have eyes, and that doesn't look very good anyway. So
Okay,
there's
so
a little. Well, I got it.
All right.
Straw stick figure. How about that?
So there's a person. Has a little person object, and you click that, and it'll drop down a list of names. And on the names will be all of these names: Jaime, Francisca, Juan, Jose, Maria, and Jose Magdalena. And so what you do is you pick on here, you pick Juan as the name. And when you pick the father as the name, then he moves to this spot.
Allowing you to put.
And so his parents will show up over here. Right? And then he's already linked here, so then you can link Jose here and Magdalena here. And then you go to click this to change the person again, and now you pick Francesca. And when you pick Francesca, then she will show up here, and then her parents are here, and you can put Jose and Maria and link them. Does that make sense?
So you need to change the root person to attach your record.
Yeah, this is the main person that the whole record revolves around. That's the one that you do first. Once you attach it, all the others line up, right? And so there's a little person icon. You click it, lists all the people in the record, and you can pick one of the other names, and this will all change to match that person you pick.
Whoever you're on.
So basically,
once again, this is all hooked up with Jaime. Do all your attach, and then you're going to pick in the list Juan or Francesca, whichever. Pick one of them. That'll move that to this position. Then you'll see their parents along with the people on the record. Line it up, attach them. Click this to pick the father, and it'll line up and attach those. So you should be able to do it all. It's a little complicated. I actually believe that the quick attach needs some rework. We're actually working on designs of how to change this. Because it's powerful, but you never know, you don't know how to do this. It's not obvious. You can't look at it and see. And so we've been working for several months now on a new design of this thing. We want to be very careful and make sure it improves in our new design.
Of course.
And so that's one of the struggles with this particular one. It's complicated. It's hard to see.
I just wanted to point out, Jill just asked off the same question. She said, if she's understanding you correctly, Karen should just put the source in her shoebox and then attach it from the shoebox.
Yeah, that's another way. You can do. You can see the source in the search results, and you can just up at the top. There's under your name. You click your name, and underneath the name it'll say source box. It'll say add to source box. Or no, there's a button there on the top. You just click add to source box. That source is put into your source box. Then you can go to some person and you can just attach that source. You say directly to those people. Anybody you want.
Makes sense.
Okay.
So a source can be attached to multiple people, the same source. So you can do whatever you like, and that way you get that around. So that's another way to do it too. Okay. That's the same as that's better than just clicking create source and do it by hand. You can just put it in your source box and then go attach it to the right people.
It's easier. Keeps everything linked together.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
P.S. It's mostly
yeah.
daylight in Alaska.
Yeah, he said it's mostly daylight.
Mostly daylight. That's got to be hard to go to sleep. You got to put on those thick velvet curtains. or
Heavy
something.
curtains, man.
Wear your eye mask.
I don't know how he.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, and in the winter, I bet you gotta sit around them light bulbs that you make you feel like you get
Yeah,
the
like
UVs,
the really blue ones.
so that
Make
you
it, like,
you don't
daylight.
get depressed or something.
I don't know, well, I mean, if he's a true Alaskan, then he's adjusted, right?
Yeah, he likes it. He's probably fishing and hunting and
All day long.
that stuff.
Eskimo.
Okay.
Alright. Barbara Payne wants to know.
If I post in memories a picture that just contains living people, when I die, what happens to all the memories of pictures that just have living family members in them?
Okay, this question's been around a lot lately. It's been coming up a lot in Kid Satisfaction, and people have been asked those questions. First off, there's a couple things you need to know today. Some of this may change, but today, every memory you put into the system stays, and it doesn't go away unless you go in and purposely delete it. So when the picture is going to be there, the picture or the story or the audio is going to be there forever. We're going to preserve it. It'll always be present.
Okay.
When you die, it doesn't matter because it's still all there. Mm-hmm. And right now, all the memories are visible, so anybody can look at any memory. So the problem is that will be a struggle in the future. Is that how do they find that memory? How do they find that picture, right?
Yeah.
So we're actually going to do a couple of things. One is we're working to improve our find feature inside our search feature inside of memories. Mm-hmm. We've worked out some arrangements with the privacy office and the legal office to allow us to. We'll be able to take the things you put in for your title and your description and your date and place, and depending on how good those are, we're going to be able to start searching all of those things. So if you put some information in there that would make it easier to find, like this is, you may not want to list like all the living people per se, but you might want to say this is the Chandler family or the John and Susan Chandler family kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Then they're more likely to find the picture. Now, if you've seen my Roots Take presentations, I've talked about it for 2 years. We can't seem to get to it, but there's lots of interest in getting to it soon. The pressure is building. The brethren really feel impressed that we need to start working with we need to be working as a family together, doing our family history.
Okay.
They feel that that's very important, and it can help family members feel the spirit, and family members feel more connected. They understand their past, and they understand what their ancestors stood for, what their values were, and like in a Tanner family, ours is about ours are about Tanners get it done. We have a task, we get it taken care of. That's sort of our family expectations, because past family members in the past, they sacrificed everything to get things done when they were asked to do it.
Built a reputation, a mantra.
Yeah, so we feel connected to our ancestors, and it helps us make decisions in our life now to be better people, I think. If we look at, and it doesn't matter in the past whether you have good stories in the past or bad stories in the past. It doesn't matter. Because if they're bad, it means I don't want to be like that person that went to jail and did all this bad thing or whatever. And you say I want to be like, or you say I want to be like that person who did some great things and overcame just tremendous difficulties. It helped us cope with the things we're doing here, or what we're dealing with. If they can handle it, we can handle it and take care of it.
Absolutely, right.
So anyway, so there's lots of interest in trying to help the family work together, not only on their dead, but on the living. Mm-hmm. And so, as you know, I have a desire to be able to share living, so that all of our living is together in one place, and everybody in the family goes to that same place. When they go to that same place, then they're all seeing the same IDs, the same persons. So when we get this done, you'll be able to put your living into a place, invite all your family to come to that place, and then everybody just start working there. That's where you start. So when you log in, you'll be able to set your thing that says, when I log in, start me in that family place. Mm-hmm. and you start there, and then people just attach memories to all the living there, just like you do now.
Mm-hmm.
And then that means that if somebody in the family dies, there's no change. It's all the memories are there. Everybody can find it. It's on all the living that are sitting there in that shared family area.
So you're doing your own family history instead of trying to research ancestors that came before you eventually.
Well, you're doing both sides. You want to collect all of your living together so that they feel connected to the family and to their ancestors, and you keep them visibly there. Imagine, it'd be great. I mean, I love it when it happens. I want us to have a shared family place where, you know, if you all eventually move away, and I want to be able to see pictures of my grandkids, and I want to read stories about the grandkids, and we want to preserve them.
Watch
there.
a video of them.
Well, can't do video right now.
Right, eventually.
Audio or something.
Audio, I guess.
But
that was my bad.
yeah, we want to.
Rookie mistake.
We want to be able to see those things, right? And some of those things we want to preserve for the future, right? And so, anyway, you can't do it right now. And the way you have to do is make sure that people put in decent titles and descriptions, and that'll help you find them later.
It's a dream.
That makes sense.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. We'll get
There's a lot of interest in having that done, so I can't imagine they'll let us go too much longer. We're working on it. We already have plans. We're starting to meet every week together as engineers to figure out how we're going to do this. So,
Okay.
okay.
All right. Liberty Ray wants to know.
Wondering why the drop down on the tree doesn't keep a log of the recent people I've clicked on when I'm logging in as a helper.
So just to repeat, want to know why is it when I'm in helper, for those who don't know what helper is one person can help another person. And when I help my son, Jarrett, then I am him inside a family tree.
Mm-hmm.
I log in, I help Jarrett, means I see Jarrett's tree as if I were Jarrett.
Yep.
And I can wander around and I can change things on behalf of Jarrett. The contributor will be Jarrett. Now, I can't just do that without his permission. I have to get a special key from him, a special number from him.
A helper pin? Is that
It's
what
a
it is?
helper pin that's in your settings. He has to give me that number in order for me to do that. Or he has to tell me his birthday and some other personal information that I can enter in to help him. So we originally kept the helper stuff in the list. But what happens for people who do a bunch of helping is they help a bunch of people and they crawl all over the tree, but they're not crawling in their own lines. They're crawling in other people's lines, like way far away lines, not even from somebody that's related. And then they do that, and they help another person and a couple other people, and then they go in to do their own family history, and they look at the list of people in there, and it's like, who are all these people? I don't remember going and looking at these people. And their people are gone off the list because they helped enough people to fill up the 50. And so when we first did it, that's the way we did it, and we had so many complaints and thought that the whole thing was broken because they said, how did these people get on my list? They're strange people. And I don't know anything about them. They're not even related to me. All this kind of stuff. And we did investigations. Oh, okay. We are putting in helper people on there.
So it's a result of a complaint.
Right. It just was confusing. They didn't know what was going on. So then we went in and said, in helper mode, you're helping somebody else, and so that's not you. And so it shouldn't be put on your list. Now, if you're a helper, like a consultant or something, and you help somebody so regularly and you want to start over from where you left off, then what I would recommend doing is do a browser bookmark. So you could take any page, and you're sitting there on the person page, and you go up to your favorites inside of your bookmark, mark it as a bookmark, and say, helping so-and-so, this is where we start again, or something, so you know to go to that bookmark.
You can write down the individual unique.
You could write down the PID on a piece of paper for that helper. You know, the new helper stuff, you're going to have a lesson plan.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be good to write a little note on there to say, this is the PID we were working on, so that next time you meet, you can start there.
Yeah, that's how we did it. That's how we did it on my mission. Was the PID? We use the PID. We write it down, and then that's how we know where to go back.
Yeah. So that's what I recommend.
Makes sense.
Okay.
All right. So Rob from Alaska,
Where it's mostly day.
wants to know.
Could there be a feature added in FamilySearch that would allow me to sort names into folders, somehow that I have reserved for temple ordinances? It'd be nice to be able to sort them according to things like which line of my family they are part of, or which ordinances need to be completed, etc. Also, it would be nice if there was a way to keep track of the names that I had reserved previously and it's shared with other family members directly into FamilySearch. I recently shared or started a spreadsheet to do this on, but I think it would be so much better if it were built into the program.
Yeah, lines, I don't know about lines. I don't know what you put in for lines,
Where do you draw the line with lines?
Yeah. What is the name of the line? 'Cause, as you go back, of course, that person's in 50 lines or 100 lines or whatever. But I will tell you this: at the top of the temple reservation list, it'll have name, and it has a little triangle here, and it has a few other things, and then it has date over here, and it has ordinance. And I'm not showing all the columns, but here's stuff. It has like name and a little drop down thing, and ordinances and a little drop down. It has some more things that you can drop down, and then up here it has a filter. And just show you a few things that you can do with the reservation list. You could start typing someone's name, and the data here the things that match what you start typing will just show up. All the rest of them will disappear. So if it's the Smith line or something, you start typing Smith, and all of a sudden you only see Smiths in the field until you clear this. Another thing that's interesting is you can hit one of these drop downs and you get choices. For instance, under name it has, first and then last, or you can say last. So you say I want to sort it by last name or sort it by first name, and it'll resort and show it to you in that order.
So can you filter by like an ordinance?
Well,
perhaps,
yeah, you can. So it also has like male or female. You can say I only want to see female, or sort it by female and male, and the males come at the top. Or if you click this, it sorts the other direction. So if I said sort by last name, I click it, sorts by last name. If I click it again, it sorts by Z to A to Z. Reverse sorting.
Okay.
You can also do that with ordinances. If you click that little thing down there, it'll come down, and it has baptism, confirmation, and you just say I want baptisms, and it'll sort it so that the baptisms that need to be done are at the top. All the baptisms are at the top.
So it would be your first ordinances, like your baptism.
Well, you just pick whatever ordinances you want.
Oh, okay.
You can pick by
so there is
down.
a drop down.
Yeah, it's in drop down, and it'll sort it. I think that's you're picking one, or it sorts it by an order, and then you say like I want to find an endowment. And you can say sort by endowment. All the endowments will be sitting at the top of the list, and then you know which ones are printed or not, and you just click it to print. So I think try playing with these different things and sorting different directions and the filtering, and with that combination, you should be able to pretty quickly find which thing you were looking for. Okay, so mess around with those, and you can do double things, right? You can say, give me by last name female with this ordinance, and it'll filter all of those together. So.
Okay.
Well,
that's nice.
So I think it does by the one you did it. So if you do name, it sorts by name, and then you do gender, pick male, and then it keeps the name order, but then now it sorts by male or female.
Gotcha.
And then you click ordinance, and it does next. So each one adds to the prior choice.
So you can scoot a little closer.
No, I gotta have room for the
Okay,
board room.
I got you, man. I got you.
Sharing. You also talked about sharing ordinances, sharing reservations.
With other families.
I have to apologize. We did the sharing. That is not the way we had planned on having sharing work. We'd always planned on sharing work the way sharing with the temple does, where you could pick selected ordinances, share with that person, and the reservation would stay on your list. Okay, and so you could unshare it, pull it back.
Okay.
We always wanted it to be that way. We were in a hurry to get some of it done in order for some events that needed to occur. So we only got as far as when you share, it comes off of your list and goes to their list if they accept it. And we're going to go back. We've already got it. We're very interested in getting that fixed sometime this year, maybe a little bit in the next year, and go back and change that so that you can pick which ordinances. Because it doesn't work the way we want. We never wanted it to be this way. but other things got in our way to, like running out of capacity. We had to change to new servers and stuff.
Just
So
little things like the system might crash and
That's
die.
right.
you
That's
know,
right.
Priorities, right?
That's
little
right.
things.
So we felt like that was more important to do, and so we did that. So now we could kind of start going back and doing some of these, finishing up the things. But that'll allow you to keep it and see it on your list. And
Keep track of who has what.
Even if
well,
you
I don't know if it'll track who has it. We'll have to look and see, because you could end up sharing different parts, and then you got like 5 people on the list, so it gets a little messy there. But at least you can say, you see that you shared it, and if they're not getting it done in time, then you could turn around and unshare it, and it pulls it back to your list, and then
You
you
could
could
be an
do
Indian
it.
giver.
That's
Indian
right.
giver.
That's right.
Alright.
Okay, so try that filtering and sorting by lines.
And then the other
Sorting
features
my
are
stuff.
coming, Rob. Just
Yeah, and the
have to
other
wait
stuff
for
is
them.
something we want to do badly.
Okay, so Darlene would like to know.
When merging in family tree, does the change history for both records get saved? So she's saying like the change log gets saved with the record that remains, or what happens to the change log in a merge?
Okay. So here's
Whoa, fancy drawing
person
time.
1. Here's person 2.
You ever notice he gets that little look in his eye when he's ready to draw something?
Yeah.
He gets all excited. Little twinkle.
Well, it's kind of like his whiteboard at work. It's like a whole bunch of scribbles.
It is a bunch of scribbles.
It kind of depends on what you're talking, but here we go. This will give us enough to start working on it.
Okay.
So here's person 1, and here's their change log. So it has a bunch of changes in it.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in time,
They were merged.
we merge this person into this person. So it merges the duplicate into the survivor.
Okay.
Right? The duplicate into the survivor. At that point in time, when that happens, there's an entry in this change log right here that talks about this merge. It says this person was deleted, this person was a survivor, and this is all the data that was taken. That's also entered over here as well. So in this change log over here, it also tells you, actually I think that might be wrong. I don't think it puts it in the change log. It puts it in the entry so that we know that this was merged into. So at that point in time, this change log doesn't have any, this change log, nothing happens over here.
It just stops.
This stops because this is no longer
A person.
An active-
it got absorbed in here, so it's sitting out there. We save it like it is right here at this point in time, and you can find it, but you'd only find it by going through this and clicking in here and looking at the
log.
PID and going over there, or if you know the ID of this one, you can enter the ID and you can go there. And if you've seen one of these people, it comes up on the screen and says, "Oh, this person is deleted." You can go ahead and look at this person page, and it tells you who did the merge. It tells you that this one was merged away, and then it has a little button in there, and it gives you the reason statement why they merged it. And then it gives you a little button to restore this person if they merged incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
So you can click restore. So once the merge happens, there's a merge identification here and what happened with the data that were brought over. But since nothing was changed over here, we just know that this one was merged into that one, and we tell you when you go look at it. Now, the change logs here, when this person keeps changing, nothing happens over here. This is stopped.
Right. So it keeps a record on P1 but not on P2.
That's right, because P2 is not getting changed.
Makes sense.
Data from P2. So think of it like this: we're saying that when you bring stuff over, you're saying these two are the same, and I'm going to take the data that's best to keep, and I'm going to bring it over here. And then this data is old, right? Now,
But we're not going to delete it.
we don't delete it in case there was accidental merge
We're
or
just going to kind of
inappropriate merge.
We're going to put it in the corner, and if we need it, we'll get it.
Yeah.
When we need it.
Yeah, we archive it away, and then you can get to it and restore it if there was a bad merge.
Mm.
So, did I answer the question?
It says when
What
merging,
happened-
she wants to know what happens to the change log. So I guess because
The change log is still here on this one for this person since it's beginning of time.
up to the point.
Up to the point that it was merged, because you can't edit it anymore. And then this change log continues on.
Makes sense.
So I think we answered the question.
Okay.
We got it. All right. Next question is from Shelly. She wants to know.
With the release of all obituary hints over the last month, I'm finding that many of my relatives have 2 or 3 hints that are the same obituary, just published in a different newspaper. But it still shows up as an additional hint. My question is, should I attach every hint that goes through, even if it is a duplicate hint? What if I reject the hint? It shouldn't really matter if there's just one obituary instead of 4 repeated ones, does it?
Okay, well, let me answer the question.
So,
First,
It's kind of a loaded
question 1.
yeah, question 1 is, why is there duplicate hints or duplicate hints?
Yeah.
Well, that's because, when we, and I'm assuming you're talking about, they're hints because they're FamilySearch records. So we went out and got the obituaries. And we got the obituaries from city county here and the city county there. And it just so happens that
Your obituary is
when
put
the
in
obituary
4
was put in multiple newspapers.
Right.
Right?
Real popular person.
Yeah. Well, no one sat and said that article is the same as that article when they went out to take the film of the newspaper.
You just
They just took the
Photographed
film of the
everything.
newspaper, or we bought the records from the newspaper, this newspaper, we bought records from that newspaper. But we don't sit and look at each image and say, oh, that's the same as that one.
Yeah.
So as far as the computer is concerned, even though it's the same obituary,
they're different.
they're different because this one has an ID number of 1, that one has an ID number of 2, and so they're obviously 2 different records.
Makes sense.
And so we don't detect that those 2 are the same. So that's why you're getting multiple hints for the same thing because, I when people ask me about this, I say, well, yeah, it's not like we've never had duplication. Has anybody ever entered in a person more than once in the family tree? Of course. Well, what do? We merge. Well, of course there's going to be duplicate records captured. And that's very common, by the way, not just in obituaries. It's very common in most any set of records. So, take for instance, back in time, or even now, you have one county and they have county records, and then you have another county with county records, and often they have each other's records to help people that come, or the county line changes.
So they are.
So you end up having sometimes they
Duplicate
keep
sets.
copies over there just for people to be able to find it, so they have to travel to the other county.
Makes sense.
And so there'd be multiple copies in each county of the same thing. Well,
Yeah.
when we come in to film it, we just film everything. We
Yeah.
don't sit and try to figure out
Separate what's
what
what.
could be filmed twice somewhere else if it's ever done.
Yeah.
Hard to know everything.
Right.
Wow.
But we don't know. We may not be able to do that other county, so we
do everything.
camera everything.
Makes sense.
So as a result of that, it happens. You probably don't want to mark it as not a match, because if you do that, we investigate the not a matches and we use that information to change our algorithms on our hinting system, and we may change it so that that wouldn't match your ancestor anymore, which is not what you want, because it is a match. It's the same ancestor. It's just a duplicate. You don't like it, so don't make it not a match.
Make it a
And-
match, just merge
well,
it.
no,
Right.
there's no merging yet.
Oh,
You
no.
can't merge them.
Not a merge source.
So your choices are leave it alone and keep living with the hint there, or attach it. So what I recommend is attach it.
Of course.
Now, of course, the next thing that happens is now that I've attached 2 of these, I got 2 of them sitting in the sources section, and it's really annoying. Well, we know. Just a second.
We gotta keep.
I get
hydrated.
talking,
He gets going. And he
you
just,
get a little passionate.
Uh-huh.
some
about it.
steam,
Yeah.
Things heat
So
up.
I get it that it's real annoying, and we believe it's real annoying too. We went to one ancestor. We've been researching this for a while. We went to one ancestor, and it had like 50-something sources on it. And we went and looked at each one of them. And if you remove all of the duplicates, the person only had like 14 sources, even though there's 50-something more sources. So we're actually in the process of designing the next generation of sources. And the idea in the next generation of sources is that you'll be able to collapse sources. You'll be able to say this source and this source are the same source on the person, and you'll be able to join them together, kind of like a merge,
Kind of like a merge, but not
kind of like a
quite.
merge, but not exactly the same.
It's like putting them in a
Well, it's kind of like a
folder.
merge actually, and you'll just merge those 2 together, and you keep both URLs. So we'll show you one record with one title and the data, but it'll have 2 URLs. And it'll say this is URL for this image, this is URL for this image. But you said by collapsing them, they're really the same exact image. And let us know if you think that'd be interesting. We think this will solve a lot of problems. We are also interested in maybe you doing a little data entry about what's on the source. See, when people do indexing, we get all that nice data to be able to display. And sometimes when you upload a memory, we don't get that nice data. So we're also thinking about, and maybe you need to help me know if you'd be willing to do this. If you uploaded a memory and it was like a certificate of some kind, you turn it into a source, would you be willing to extract the information in the source? You know, like enter in the name of the parents, the name of the mother, the name of the father, the birth date, name of the child, whatever's in the record, even though you're going to attach to people that have those same names. We'd be interested in like a little indexing so you could say what's in it.
Makes it searchable.
Not only that, but what it does is it helps us on the person page say, here's all these sources say the birth was in 1864. And somebody wants to change it to 1890. We can say, hold a minute here. All the sources say 1864. You sure you want to change it to 1890? We can't say that because we don't know they say 1864. Because we can't read the pictures.
Yeah.
Right? We can only read what people typed in.
Mm-hmm.
And so let us know what you think about that. It's something we've been toying with for a while and trying to experiment with. We've done a little bit of testing with some people, but this is my group, and I want to ask you what you think about it, and would you be willing to enter in those kind of things for your memories that you upload and turn into sources, or and if that collapsing and doing all that kind of stuff would be something you'd be interested in doing.
Well, yeah, you already got one response. Becky said she would be willing to do that.
Yep. I'll ask you guys in
the cool thing is this: your sources about your ancestor, and so
you have a chance.
You have more. You know, I think you have more vested interest in making sure
that everything's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Sylvia wants to know,
in FamilySearch, when there is a child who has both the father and mother listed, but the child's parents were never married to each other, there's no way to show, quote, not married. Could something be added so that not married could show between the mother and the father?
Yeah. Been asked plenty.
Yep.
I think we've had this question before.
We have.
But I get it. That's okay.
Well,
it's tricky.
I don't have any problem. I don't have any problem answering questions
let's
again.
Make sure it's clear.
A couple things I want to make sure it's clear. This is the father. This is the mother. This is the child. Okay. So you see this relationship on a person page. You have a father, you have a mother, and you have a child.
Right.
And technically, the way this is done is there are two relationships. These two, there's only one way that a child shows up with these two parents. There's a parent-child relationship with the child that says this is the father and this is the mother. Okay, that's how this child shows up with these two parents. Somebody created a parent-child relationship. Now these two show up together for two reasons. For two reasons why they might show up together. One is there's a child that says they're their parents.
They both have a parent-child relationship to that child.
That's right. But that makes them show up like this, like a little family.
Right.
And you know that that's the case because over here in this line it'll say add couple, and I think it says couple relationship, which means you haven't said that these two were married. Now it's just a little indicator that you need to say they're married. If they were married, then they're usually, and you put in a date, it'll say, the date. Okay? And it'll have a little thingy here to edit it, right? Little pencil. Mm-hmm. And what that is the spousal relationship. So it has the father and the mother, but as a couple.
Right.
So that's the couple relationship, parent-child relationship, okay? If they're not married, you shouldn't have one of these. Right?
You shouldn't have a couple relationship. You're going to have a parent-child.
That's right. So you'd have that, and it says add couple.
Right.
Okay. So what we're thinking, it's not there. You can't do it now. But what we're thinking about is allowing you to add in here when you click add a couple. Mm-hmm. We would have an option to say never married and a reason statement. And right here, because we don't want to create one of these couple things to confuse the system to think they were a couple. So we're thinking about when you click add, we'll say, maybe there's a little drop down or something that says, never married or, add a couple, something like that. And if you click never married and you put in a reason statement, then this would change
to say never married.
To say never married. not married. So that it shows up. Now somebody can click that, read the reason, delete it, right, and put in a couple information if they find a marriage. Okay.
Okay.
So would that work? So let me know if that would work. So that's what we're thinking about that, and you're not alone in that one. Actually, every time I meet with the chief genealogical officer of FamilySearch, I meet with him once a month. Him and his team. They remind me that I haven't put in the never married.
Always remind
Because they've pestered me about the never married for about 2 years. And, we had to do something to make sure the system didn't die, so it's another one of those things that's on our list that we haven't done yet. Dang
Bottom
it.
of the list.
Dang on.
Family
This is at the
tree.
bottom.
But the point is
Yeah.
it gets pushed down.
But he reminds me every month, and I feel bad, and it pops up. I move it up every month. Every month, and then it gets worked down.
Well, hey, who knows? With this, we might get bumped up the list. A little bit.
Yeah, it's just a lot of.
A lot of stuff.
There's a lot of things we need to do, and and I'm sorry that we don't get it all done.
It's a lot of.
There's a lot of
a lot of
features that are
work.
requesting, and they're all important features. There's no features that people are asking for that aren't valid to do.
That's true.
It's just that we have, we have lots of work to do, just regular.
Yeah.
So we have features and things we need to do that are planned out for the next couple of years, and so.
Well, and not just that, but like each feature. So I got the opportunity to go to his office today. I was hiding from my child for a
Fun
couple
for you.
hours. So I went and worked at his office for a little bit today, and just walking around his office, he showed me some of the stuff that they've been working on. Every feature that you do, they spend like 3 or 4 months researching the feature,
Right.
like talking to people like you guys to see how you react to it, what you want in it, what you don't want in it, what's missing, what you need. And then from there, they go through and they analyze all this data, and like, they have, guys, like,
Really
they're-
getting the data.
oh my gosh, their conference rooms were like covered in post-it notes and printouts of like screenshots and things that they go through. So then once they analyze all of that, then they start to create the system, and then there's so much coding and detail that goes into the back
Right.
side of all these features that one little teeny feature, like creating one little button to do one little thing, probably takes like 8 or 9 months just to
Well,
make one little
it
button.
doesn't take that long, but
But
like
And
for
then-
instance,
and
this
that's what
never
it does.
marry thing would probably take us about a month and a half or so, because
to build, because it's
yeah,
a lot of
well,
coding.
that's right. Well, we have to put the button, we have to change the database in the back end, we have to figure out what happens, how we have to change the interface so that it knows when it's not married is set, we display this instead of displaying add couple.
Right. And then how does it record it on the back end?
That's right. How does it look like in the change log? Can you restore it? Can you not restore it? All of that stuff has to be thought about when we do a single feature.
Well, and then it has to all go through like super extensive beta testing to make sure that there's no bugs and that
Right.
it works correctly before
Right.
they can release it to the public.
Usually, once we really
Takes a
start, we
while.
spend a lot of upfront to figure out how to work, because when we turn it over and the engineers cranking, we want them to crank fast.
Right.
Once it gets to them, it's usually pretty quick.
Right.
A month or so and it's done. But some of these big jobs though, we got some that they're working on. They're like 9 months of work.
They
so.
take a lot of time. Like they make sure that they do their research and their homework before they even hand it over to you.
Right,
They want to make
'cause-
sure it works perfect before you get it.
Yeah, we want to make sure we don't waste our time doing engineering work that doesn't work.
Yeah.
We want it to work right. Okay, what's our next one?
Okay, it's our last question for the night. It's from Debbie. She wants to know.
Will there, in some future family tree feature, connect data info?
No, DNA.
Sorry, DNA. Wow. I can't read apparently.
Yeah.
Made the whole night, can't read.
Gosh.
Yeah.
All right, let me read
Zoom
it.
in.
Try again.
Will there something or sometime in the future family tree connect DNA info and coordinate with DNA info already on other partner sites? And I assume this is in regards to
Like
Ancestry
Sure.
with their DNA.
Well, yeah,
Sequencing.
C23andMe and
Yeah.
MyHeritage and Find My Past. They're all getting into DNA. And Ancestry courses in DNA.
Yep.
We're really examining what we need to do with DNA. The DNA is a pretty sensitive thing, and it's very important to be kept confidential and all that kind of
agree.
stuff. It can be helpful, especially for situations where there's not very many records. Think about the blacks that were enslaved and brought over to. Most of them were in Central America and South America that they were put into. There was not really that many in the United States, but there was 20-something thousand. I don't remember the exact numbers, but and if you're part of those lines, it's almost impossible to make the jump from the where you were bought and sold as a slave or something back to your homeland.
Okay.
Because there's no records that came over with you.
Right.
And so
You
they
were-
gave you a
you were
new name.
property,
They gave you a
essentially.
new name. You removed property. There was no maintaining of the kids that you had and stuff.
No marriage license, no records.
None of that.
Yeah.
And their only records is there's a couple of censuses that came later where they actually listed the family and then they listed slaves. And so sometimes DNA is the only way to find out where in Africa or
Your family came from.
right some of the
Makes
Africa
sense.
or other parts. And then
Okay.
then you could jump over there and try to find some DNA to get a match, and so I'm related to that person, so that helps you find your line. So we're examining all that. The leaders, the chief genealogical office, all of them are doing some deep dive and studying of DNA. But when that answer comes, we'll answer questions. We'll decide what we're going to do. But in the meantime, if you have DNA on some deceased persons that you think might be valuable to share in Family Tree, you can certainly make a source out of that, because you can make a custom source and you just enter in the title, DNA of some blah 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 somebody, and the URL you put in is to where it's stored on Ancestry or where it's stored somewhere else, and maybe some information about that DNA in the notes or something, so that and then it'll be attached to that person and it'll be there, and you'll still be able to make that connection. So I think there's a way to make a connection right now. It may not be stored on Family Tree right now, but at least there's a connection there. And I don't know what the future will bring with DNA, but we recognize that it's important information. We recognize that it's genealogically valuable, and and because any genealogical record we're desirous to preserve and have to preserve and make available. I think that they just have to study and decide whether DNA is the right kind of stuff for us to do.
Fair.
For us
Okay.
to store.
Rob asked one really fast. He snuck
Okay.
one in there.
Snuck one in.
From Alaska.
Okay, only because he's from Alaska.
He wants to know, names can't be taken to the temple to do work for someone until they have been deceased for a year. How far in advance from the 1-year anniversary of their death date can you reserve their name?
Yeah, currently you can't reserve them until the anniversary.
Okay, so
Nobody.
you have to wait
Nobody.
a year.
Nobody can reserve them
That's
until
correct.
the anniversary.
That's correct.
So you better just stay up till 12:01 that night.
That's
Just
right.
get
Well,
it
you're up
reserved.
anyway because the sun's out.
Ah, that's true. I mean,
So-
you're up in.
Yeah, you
Alaska,
need to
so-
wait exactly 1 year from the anniversary. So if they died, May 5th, then a year later on May 5th, they're available to be reserved. So I know that families have asked for something to sort of pre-reserve kind of things, and
So that they don't get taken by someone
yeah,
else.
but these people are within the 110-year rule. So the only people that get to actually take them would be a close relative, meaning a mother, a father, a sibling, a child.
Yeah.
Immediate family.
Immediate families can take it without being blocked. Anybody outside of that set of people
Would
has to
ask permission
that
from
has to
them.
ask permission, which they have to provide who gave permission, how do we contact that person, and it goes to an admin who then reviews that material, makes a determination whether it's acceptable to grant them that access to do that. So there's protections in there. So if you're racing to get it, you're just really racing against your brothers and sisters and your kids and your parents. So I mean, work it out amongst them. try to make it a family affair.
Yeah.
If there's somebody who died, when they shouldn't have, for whatever reason, you ought to make it a family event. There was one that happened in our ward here, and it was horrible. The daughter was killed, and their anniversary was just this month. And they worked with me about it, and I said, just make it a family affair. So all of you plan a temple trip around that anniversary. It's not necessarily, I never was one to celebrate the death of somebody, but you can go to the temple and celebrate their life. and then celebrate the life you give them in the next life.
Yeah, it's like connection, right?
Yeah.
You get to connect
Right.
with someone.
But
from
if you
beyond
all go
the grave.
together, then that'll make that trip to the temple extra special. So instead of being exclusive and trying to beat somebody else, go try to make a family event and say, let's all go together. Let's go to the temple, do the ordinances, and afterwards let's go to some restaurant or someplace and let's talk about their life. Let's talk about all the memories we had about them and all
Why
the,
you loved them.
why, and then we'll let's write some stories down and let's talk about it on a tape or on our digital phone and then put that up in FamilySearch as memory records of that person.
There you go.
Take a picture of the day of all of you at the temple and in the front of the temple and put it up there and say this is the day we took this person to the temple and made sure that they had the ordinances to make it. So I think that can bond a family
Oh yeah.
significantly. So think of a way to make it a family thing, and I think it'll turn out really joyous.
Sure.
Okay,
So Larry wants us to know that
what time are we at anyway?
8:30.
We're at an hour.
we actually did it on time.
Yeah,
Hour,
we're
2 minutes.
a half-hour program we did in an hour. Okay.
It's because I'm here.
Larry says hi to Jarrett and to me, and she says the family's welcome.
Oh, this is Aunt Larry.
Yeah, this is your
Hi, Aunt Larry.
sister-in-law.
Your sister-
By the way, Aunt Larry, I've sent a email off to the person who's over the Family History Library in Salt Lake City to see if we can find somebody who would be good for you to contact about your Korean ancestry, which you asked us last time
There
or
you
a couple
go.
times ago. I haven't heard back, so I'm going to send them a nastygram this next week
Ooh.
and say, I
Nasty
asked you
grams.
about this like 2 weeks ago. What's the deal? Who should we put her in contact with? So I'll let you know, Larry.
Rob wants to know 12:01 in what time zone? Does stuff switch over in Mountain Standard Time?
It's actually Greenwich. It's supposed to be Greenwich Mean Time. What I would do is the servers actually aren't in Utah. The servers are actually in the East
East Coast.
Coast.
There you go.
So I'd start if you're really anxious, then I would start at the East Coast time zone and work
Just
work
start
west.
pushing reserve until he gets
Work west. But
Yeah.
the time zone shouldn't matter because we store things in Greenwich Mean Time, in Universal Time.
There you go.
So it shouldn't matter, but I know that sometimes that can get a little mixed up as far as the time zones. So.
Why can't we just all be on the same time zone together? Just
Oh
kidding.
yeah, well we'd have to have the sun shining all on the planet at the same time.
I know.
Wouldn't work very well.
I know.
Okay.
All right. So thanks
Thank you everybody for coming.
for coming. Oh, Beverly says thanks for going the extra mile and helping her with her problem.
She's
You're-
appreciative.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Why you do this, right?
You
That's
do
why
not
you do it.
have any extra presentations coming up for a little while, right?
I am going
Next
to
one?
do a local genealogical society. I'm going to that one
June, right?
in June, and then in July, I'm teaching at the BYU Family History Conference, where I'll be talking about future features of Family Tree, including some stuff you didn't hear at Roots Tech if you went to Roots Tech. And then that same month, at the end of the month, I'll be speaking at Education Week,
Again, at
the-
BYU.
BYU Education Week. There'll be 4 sessions. I'll be doing 3 of the sessions, and then there's another guy helping me out to do 1 of the other sessions.
We're trying. I say trying because we haven't heard back yet.
No, we don't have permission
We're
yet.
trying to see if we can do a live feed during one of the BYU Education Week classes that he's teaching, so that you guys can, if you can't attend Education Week and you want to hear one of his courses, like one of the ones that they'll let us film, that we can do a live feed so you can feel like you're a part of Education Week and hear some of the new stuff. That's
The beauty
coming.
of the
So,
internet, right?
Yeah, we'll see. We don't know if they'll let us. but-
We've gotten in contact with them. We're working on it. Hopefully, we'll get permission to shoot one of the floors.
Everyone
So
cross your fingers on that one.
we
Yeah.
will see what happens. We'll keep you updated. That's not until August, so we have a couple of months.
July.
Oh, July? It's always in August.
Is it
Always
July?
the week before BYU starts.
Oh, you're right.
so
It is August.
It's
What's
August.
the July one?
You've got too many.
Oh,
things.
July's the BYU Family History Conference.
It's and then you have the people that come and travel to Utah.
That's not till December.
Oh, that's December. Guys, he has way too many things.
He has too many things. That's the simple answer. He's got too many things.
Oh, Rob says, tell them that there are people willing to pay for live streaming of those sessions.
Yeah,
I will do my best.
He's the second person to say they think a live stream. The person right before that said live stream of anything from that would be great.
Yeah, I will do my best to try to convince them. I'm trying to convince them that it'll be a win-win situation. So
oh, you're right. The BYU Family History Conference is the end of July.
And
Education Week is the August 21st or so.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just feels like that short period of time because it's just.
Man, I'm like booked up already.
Yeah, I know.
2 and I had 2 this month, 2 last month.
Yep. You have nothing this month.
Nothing this month.
We have 1 in June.
1 next month. 2 in
2 in July.
1 in July. 1 in August. 1 in September. 1 in October and 1 in December.
We got a lot of stuff coming.
Yeah, and this isn't my job. Okay, I still have a regular job.
You still have regular things.
I still have a
that come
regular
across your
job
desk.
from 8 till 6 usually.
If it actually
every
stops.
day.
You were gonna say 5, but you never leave at 5.
I never leave at 5, and I'm always in there by 8 o'clock. So.
And then you always come home and you're fiddling and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I come home and I keep on. I got too much to do, and I want to do it all.
The point is, he cares about what you guys are saying. He cares about the system, so he spends all of his time doing it.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming tonight. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, casual T-shirt on Cinco de Mayo.
Casual Friday.
Yeah, I had to wear my T-shirt today because I had to go to therapy because I broke my right. If you recall, I broke my right shoulder.
Yeah, I told him about your incident last Christmas.
My greater tuberosity was impound fracture.
He's doing therapy.
So now I'm into
to get
therapy,
stronger.
getting the stretching of the arm.
Yeah, it's doing pretty good too.
Yeah, it's doing better.
So he's wearing a T-shirt so that he could
So I could go to
move
therapy and
his
stretch.
shoulder.
Mhm.
Your brother sends a smiley face.
So
Thanks.
we will see you guys next week. As always, if you have questions, please drop them in the form. Yeah, when I will start asking you guys some of the questions in the group, and we'll keep you updated on what we hear about Education Week as it comes along.
Okay. Have a great day.
Happy
End
Cinco
of
de
your day.
Mayo. We
Yeah.
hope you guys got your taco fix.
Yeah, I don't think
if
it's
not,
probably not Cinco. Is it Cinco de Mayo in Alaska? I guess it's
they're
same
behind
day.
us.
You got Cinco de Mayo tomorrow, huh?
Yes. No,
They're like-
come on.
It's like 5 or 6 o'clock at night. He's like, just get ready for dinner.
Oh, getting ready for dinner.
So-
Getting ready for
We'll
those
have
tacos.
tacos.
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
All right.
Have
Have a good weekend,
Bye-bye.
guys. We'll see you next week.